Welcome to the next edition of Sweet Competitive List. I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these videos, but it's also been a minute since something spicy has actually won a league or something of equivalence. So I'm so sorry about the course of the delay, but since it is a brand new season, people are trying out new cards and trying out new deck ideas. So I got 5 decks to talk about today. They all got 5-0s in leagues. They're all featuring, for the most part, brand new Bloomburrow cards, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you like that series, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Be alert for future videos. We're on our way to 2,000 subs. Let's get there together. And also, by the way, I have been qualified to go to DC. So if you're in DC for the RC, I will be there. So let's get into these 5 decks, discuss, and talk about them. Yeah, let's get into it. So the first deck I have on my list is one of the most anticipated decks of the season, and that is Grizzly Food. Now this deck is built around Yigra plus combo of looping away around these cats. This deck, of course, is playing 4 copies of Cash Grab. It's probably, honestly, would be better off just being Grizzly Salvage. I don't actually see it in this list. This deck also uses 3 Scavenger's talents to help loop and mill ourselves, so we can find the second cat. That's the plan of the deck. But I think Grizzly Salvage is better than Cash Grab. But we do make some food with goose and stuff, so maybe it's actually just not that bad of a card. I mean, it's not that bad of a card, I should say, overall. But then again, I guess it makes a food. So Deadly Dispute, you sack the food. So yeah, there's definitely some synergy with these 2 cards. And then, of course, it also, I guess it works well with, because it hits the graveyard, I believe, and then you return it. So I'm pretty sure that Sprock's Roots. We have Tyvar 3 copies, and we have Stitcher Supplier to help fill our yard up. We have decent amount of utility in our mana base with Takanuma or some layers, Fountain Port, so we can sack our tokens from Roots, draw cards. Sideboard, we do have 4 Fatal Push. For aggro, 2 Pick Your Poisons, mainly for Vein Ripper and Fabled Mirror Breaker. Thoughtseize for combo and control. 4 Leyline of the Voids for the mirror and also other graveyard strategies like Phoenix. 2 Damping Spheres for Lotus Field. Another deck that cast a lot of spells in any given turn. Then a Vraska, it's kind of a good grindy card here. It also can remove problematic and hate cards like Rest in Peace. So it kind of just comes in, like I said, answers Rest in Peace. Then you can start comboing. So it works out quite well for that. And also keep in mind, Pick Your Poison also answers Rest in Peace. So that's pretty important. That is our blue-black food. Let's get into the next deck. Next on my list is Jeskai Ascendancy. This deck picked up Valley Flood Caller plus Thunder, I think it's Thunder Trap Trainer. Both of these cards. This one lets you dig 4, get a non-token, non-creature, or non-creature, non-land thing. So it gets you your Jeskai Ascendancy. And also really anything in the deck that's not a creature, which is pretty much everything else. We have Tormod's Crypt to help loop with our Retraction Helix. Jeskai Ascendancy and Flood Caller allows us to semi-go infinite, especially with Flood Caller. If you can somehow, you most likely you'll be turning on a land, so that way you can keep making mana, untapping your land. It's also a creature. Hopefully win the game there. We have Treasure Cruise because it's just the best spell in the entire Pioneer format, besides like Fable. So it's really powerful. Spell Pierce to protect our Jeskai Ascendancy. A little bit of removal with Fiery Impulse. Consider, we don't have Opt, so we only have this 1 cantrip, which is, I guess, is reasonable enough. Otherwise, sideboard, we have 2 Tears of Valakut for Vein Ripper. We have 2 Cages, good against Amalia, which prevents the Cord and the Cocos. Surge to help protect our hand versus Thoughtseize. Memory is an alternative way to win the game. We can maybe add a bunch of counters to a Archaeologist or something like that. 2 Disputes for control. 2 Radiant Flames for aggro. 2 Tybalts also for Amalia to prevent the life gain. Also make tokens that we can boost up. Then we have Jingothic because it's a free roll. That is Jeskai's Ascendancy modified for Bloomburrow Pioneer. Let's get into the next. Through PayPal, I'm offering for $20 play your deck through a league. I also give you an article about how to improve the list. and as well as some sideboard guides in very particular matchups. If you want to check out, the link is in the description. Now, let's get back into the video. Next on my list is a sweet take on Mono Green Devotion, Nickos Ramp. So traditionally, Nickos Ramp is more about, actually just playing the 4/2 plus Old Growth Trolls and stuff like that. This is more counter-centric. We have Vivian to help put counters on, distribute counters places. We have the Sawyer as a way to, whenever you play a land, you could put a counter on something. We have Jake Light Ranger seeing some play in Pioneer, because it comes down, explores twice, so hopefully it gets 2 counters. With Heart Scales or Innkeeper's talent, it really increases. We have Ozolith to help keep our counters flowing. We have our Hydra as a kind of the mana sink with the Nickos. And that is a sweet take on Mono Green Devotion. We have 1 Pelukar Nose down there because, reach is quite important, and plus the backside is Stonewall aggro. Sideboard, we do have 3 Pick Your Poisons for Vein Ripper. We have a Shadow Spear for life gain against aggro. 3 Tail Swipes for Amalia and other aggro decks. Scavenging Ooze for Graveyard Hate. We have Baloth for aggro hate. 3 Stone Brains for Amalia and other combo decks. Veil to protect our threats against heavy dense amount of removal. We have an Emrakul, probably also for control and also aggro. Not aggro, but combo. If we really want something on the high end, we could just get it with Vivian, right? Because that's the best threat to pull for Vivian, which is also where playing Ooze and Baloth, because those are also good targets depending on the matchup to pull from your sideboard. The other new cards we're trying out is Innkeeper's Talent, which is the new card, because everything else has been here for a while. So it's kind of sweet that Mono Green Devotion has an alternative way to play the game. That if you are bored of the other play patterns with Oddity and, the other stuff like Kiora and stuff, this is a sweet way of playing the game. So check it out. Let's get into the next 2 decks on my list. Next is a deck piloted by Doomwake. So he got back on Pioneer because of the fact that it is a brand new set dropped. So he would just come off of Modern. Now, right out of the gate, he got a 5/0 with a the brand new Viper card merged in with Soul. So that is a sweet way of doing it, because you do make a lot of tokens with Blood Fountain, Case the Fletched Falcon, Siren. So these are all good ways they make a token, artifact token, and Ornithopter as well. We could just put a Soul artifact on it, smash face for 5. So it makes your crappy tokens better. And plus we also have the GIF, Zoetic Gilf, as a way to make our stuff into a 5/4. Stubborn Denial, since all of our stuff is 5 power or more, so we should be able to counter any basically any non-creature spell for 1 blue. We have a Black Staff of Waterdeep, non-token. So it can't get your non-token stuff, but it can turn Blood Fountain into a creature, Ornithopter into a 4/4. So that's kind of nice synergy. Sideboard, we do have a couple Gust for the Mono Green matchup and red aggro. 2 Knight of the Death Legion, or Death Shadow for Amalia. We have another Stubborn Denial, in case we expect a lot of heavy amounts of removal. Stroke for green, other decks that have high mana value cards. Ashiok, preventing tutoring. Also Graveyard Hate, so it's pretty decent against Amalia. We have Shieldred, decent against Phoenix, other decks that draw a bunch of cards. 3 Hearses, also for Phoenix. We have a Duress for control and combo. Blot Out for the Vein Ripper matchup. And Antiquities War as a way to, I'm assuming for card advantage, grinding matchups. We could bring it in and just, tutor, look top 4, I believe, for an artifact, and just keep kind of going off a little bit for a little bit of grind. We have Thoughtseize, of course, because it's the best card. I'm surprised this deck is not playing any Fatal Pushes. Maybe it's not required. We have enough pressure that we're gonna. Oh wait, never mind. It's over here. It's over here. Never mind. I think maybe this deck honestly is just overwhelming your opponent with 5 power dudes, so they have to kind of chump anyways. So maybe it's not as important to have as much removal, because I mean we're going to be forcing them to chump block. Let's get into the last deck that we have to talk about today. I am now offering Patreon and locals content exclusive. It includes sideboard guides, budget guides, exclusive videos, as well as other types of content. If you want to check out the link, it's in the description. Now, let's get back into the video. So last on my list, looks like somebody piloted a deck that is kind of like Heroic, but no white. So they just basically cut the white out, add a little bit of black, and then they have a deck. So this is a little bit of a spicy take for a deck. We still have plenty of ways of triggering Valiant, right, with the brand new Challenger. We have Show Off, Soulscar Mage, and Swift Spear. We have Rage to help trigger Valiant. We have both Rages, so that's pretty sweet. We have Kimono to help give our Challenger another counter or our Show Off or whatever. So this deck is like a hybrid of red aggro and Boros Heroic. Keep in mind there's not actually any cards in this deck that gives ourselves protection, but we can return them with Claim, so that's an interesting take. This deck also is playing 3 Fatal Pushes, so it looks like it might be I don't necessarily know if it's going to be better against Amalia as a whole, just because of the fact that we have Fatal Push to help kill the Amalia. We have Kerry's expertise for the mono green matchups, and other decks that play big creatures. We have Ferocodon, also for mono green and Amalia. We have Lizard for Phoenix. We have Tears of Valakut as a way to fight through Vein Ripper. Jengata, as it's a free roll. Then we have Fable of the Mirror Breaker as a way to fight through grinding matchups. So we could bring that in and make copies of the Challenger or whatever creature we want. Also, throw away the bad cards that we might have, depending on the given play series of how the game is playing out. So that's kind of what is happening with this deck. Let me know down in the comment section which one of these decks you find most interesting. Like I said, I'm going to be trying my best to keep up with these, especially since the beginning of the season when all the hype happens. New decks are tested and they get piloted 5-0, so I'm going to try to keep them up and showcasing. And maybe, like I said, we'll get down to the point again where if I see a consistent deck getting 5-0s, then I'm going to make a deck tech for it instead, eventually, because it produced so many 5-0s, and clearly it's getting to the point where it's not just a rogue 5-0, it's actually a meta-tested deck, right? And it's become an optimal version of the deck, which is what we did last season when Gruul Aggro came out of nowhere and started smashing face. Eventually, there was a set list that had the one of the Double Striker and then 4/4/4 of all the other creatures. That was the optimal Gruul Aggro deck with Blossoming Defense and stuff like that. We covered that in a deck tech. But until next time, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.